What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing the, I guess, second episode, you can call it, of my college football talk and just kind of football talk in general. We got a couple new cards in the background. I'm going to be discussing my fantasy football team as well, briefly. And so, had to throw up two of my guys, Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Aubrey. Also, shout out to the Cowboys. That's my team, although I'm probably going to get beat tonight for the season opener against the Eagles. We also got Bucky Irving and Josh Jacobs, rookie, as well. So, those are the backdrop people today. I got a couple of my Lego characters over here. Got Tom and Jerry, and of course, Bucky the Badger is going to help me with some of my picks. So we'll start with what happened last week, and then we'll go from there. Just bear with me because this is how I did it. I wrote the teams down, highlighted the winner at the end, and then anything that happened, I wrote it on the back. So some days, like Saturday, we're probably going to have a little bit more. Some things won't go in too big a depth into. We'll just fly through it. So last Thursday, we went 16-1 with the picks. The only pick we got wrong was Boise State in South Florida. Everything else we got right. Some of the headlines were Delaware got their first FBS win over Delaware State, 35-17. Boise State got upset by USF big time. It was like 34-7. Ohio Bobcats almost pulled off the upset against Rutgers. They lost 31-34. I told you the ECU NC State game would be great. ECU was at the NC State 9-yard line, 4th and 1, and they couldn't convert. So NC State hung on for that one. Oklahoma State, according to the broadcast, won their 30th straight home opener, 27-7 over UT Martin. Wisconsin's first shutout win since September 3rd, 2022, against my Illinois State Redbirds. They beat Miami, Ohio, 17-0. Bowling Green had their second straight year to start with a kickoff return touchdown. They did it last year to open up their season, and they did it again this year. A couple former NFL players, former running back Eddie George got his first collegiate coaching win with Bowling Green. I just mentioned them. They won 26-7. And unfortunately, the other headliner, Michael Vick, lost in his coaching debut 27-7. He's with Norfolk State, so off to a rough start for him. Next up, we have Friday. You can see Friday, we went 9-2. We got the App State Charlotte game wrong, and Central Michigan and San Jose State. So some of the headlines are Tarleton takes down Army in double overtime, 30-27. I was sitting there watching it, and as the game kept progressing, it kept getting closer and closer, and Army lined up to kick a field goal, and they just hooked it. And I was like, well, maybe Tarleton will win, and they ended up doing it. Wake Forest survives an upset over versus Kennesaw State. They beat them 10-9. Wake Forest has been struggling in the recent years to, really have a solid team. App State wins the Duke's Mayo Classic, 34 to, I think 17, over Charlotte. Georgia Tech, he gets the W, even though they had 3 turnovers within like the first 8 minutes. They ended up winning that one 27-20. And they were playing Colorado. I'll get to that game in just a second. And Auburn had 300 plus rushing yards in their win over Baylor, 38-24. I'm really surprised with Colorado's coaching with Deion Sanders. They had it was like a minute 18 at their own 20 to get downfield, and within like 2 or 3 plays, the clock was at like 20 seconds. Like, they just killed the clock. They didn't use any of their timeouts. I was like, what are we doing? Like, and obviously with that, they ended up losing. So, so I have Saturday broken up into like 3 sheets. So bear with me on my overall for this. On the first page, we had, I don't even know, but so we went 16-0 on this side. I'll just show it to you. I don't have any headlines on this, so went perfect on this side, which is I kind of expected. Like I said, it was kind of easy, because a lot of it was ho-hum teams versus, the bigger teams, just to start their season off. I told you Ohio State would win. I didn't know how Arch Manning would be. And so, maybe if they were at Texas, they would have won, but, who knows. And then on this side, we only got one wrong, and it was the Alabama-Florida State game. I was expecting Florida State to not be, as good again. I figured they would be better than last year, but not as good. But man, I've seen all the memes about Alabama and Nick Saban, and it's pretty funny. So, so for this first page, we went, what is it, like 33-1, 16 plus 17. So not bad there. I have the grand total of how I did. Read that at the end. Here is another page. We went 14-2 on this one. The ones we got wrong were Austin Peay and Middle Tennessee, and we also got the Rice versus Louisiana game wrong. Everything else we did pretty good for. So that is, I don't want to say it's a, it's a talent of mine, but some games I'm able to pick out upsets, like Tarleton State taking down Army. I'm not sure how many people would have had that, but my brother's in the Army, so he's a Army fan. I was making fun of him that all the forces won their games. Navy and Air Force won their games, but Army did not. And here's the last picks for Saturday. We went 8-2 on this page. The Georgia Southern Fresno State game we got wrong, and Utah and UCLA we got wrong as well. And go over this big headline list for Saturday. So NAIA Weber International beat FCS Stetson 31-21. I know it's not FBS, but I figured I'd throw that in. That's pretty cool. Alabama's first opening game loss in over 20. I think they said since 2001. To Florida State, 17-31. Tennessee won their Aflac kickoff versus Syracuse 45-26. Kansas State survives almost being upset by North Dakota 38-35. I was watching that game because I picked Kansas State. I know I pick certain teams, but I'm also hunting for the upset. Upsets are fun to watch, as is, and so even though I picked Kansas State, I was rooting for North Dakota. So they just couldn't get it done in the in the closing minutes. Middle Tennessee loses to FCS Austin Peay. I discussed that one. That was one of the ones I got wrong. LSU did take down Clemson 17-10. Garrett Nussmeier back with LSU, did pretty good. Kent State ended their 21-game losing streak. They beat Merrimack 21-17. So good for Kent State to get back in the win column. That might be their only win of the season, but at least they got one. So Air Force won their 19th straight opener versus Bucknell. Bucknell, 49-13. Taylon Green for Arkansas threw 6 touchdowns, tied for second most in Arkansas history over Alabama A&M. Arkansas won 52-7. USC had their highest scoring game in a while. They put up 73 points over Missouri State. They ended up winning 73-13. And I think that's the most they scored since like 1930. I think is what they said. BYU won big over Portland State, 69-0. It was like 45-50 points at halftime. Just outrageous. Texas State had 606 offensive yards against East Michigan. Film room and film study will not be good this week after giving up 600 yards of offense to Texas State. I'm sure East Michigan defense has probably had a long week. Washington State fends off Idaho in a 10-point tying rally, and they ended up winning with a game-winning field goal. Washington State had a 10-0 lead, and Idaho all of a sudden just started storming back, threw up 10 points on the board, but then Washington State ended up coming back and kicking a game-winning field goal. Colorado State loses their 8th straight opener to Washington. That final score was 38-21 in favor of Washington. And then the most important one, in my opinion, I don't know how many people saw this. I know it was all over social media. All 6 teams that Lee Corso played or coached for won today. Saturday. Maryland, Louisville, Florida State, Navy, Indiana, and Northern Illinois all picked up wins in courtesy of Lee Corso, so that was pretty cool. I think he went perfect on his picks as well. And last couple things, we have 2 games for Sunday and 1 game for Monday. We went 1-2 total. Sunday, we got the South Carolina Virginia Tech game right, but we got the Miami and Notre Dame game wrong. That Notre Dame game in Miami, that was a good game. Miami started running away with it, and then Notre Dame came back towards the end, and then Miami ended up winning at the end. For those of you who have not seen the catch by that Miami receiver, recommend going and watching it. It's crazy good catch. And then Monday, we got that game wrong as well. TCU versus North Carolina. I don't know. I think I kind of forgot how good TCU was, and I thought Bill Belichick was gonna win in his debut. But that did not happen. North Carolina on their opening drive put up 7 points. It was looking good. They were running all over TCU, throwing it every now and then, just spaced enough. And then they pretty much got blanked the rest of the game. So we'll go over the headlines, then I'll tell you my overall picks. South Carolina and Virginia were the second Aflac kickoff. South Carolina won 24-11. In their kickoff game, Miami takes down Notre Dame 27-24, and then TCU blows out North Carolina and Bill Belichick's debut. So grand total, we went 81-10 with our picks. That is good for 89%. Again, I said this week would probably be easier just because it's all your FCS teams are playing your FBS schools. There were a lot of big scores and not so big scores. But, that's just how it is. So, we'll see if that's the best week we had. It might not be. It might be. I have no idea. But that's a pretty good way to start off this week. So we'll get into this week's picks. But before we do that, we'll talk about some headlines going into this week. We don't have a whole lot of games this week. It's just Friday and Saturday. No Thursday, no Sunday, no Monday games, unfortunately. So, week 2 headlines. Iowa Hawkeyes coach Kirk Ferentz is one win away from the Big Ten record, which would be 206. He is currently tied with, I can't remember his name, but he's currently at 205 career wins. He is one win away from being Big Ten all-time wins leader. Iowa versus Iowa State in state rivalry. That'll be a good game. Iowa is not ranked. Iowa State is. But, ranking doesn't always mean a whole lot in terms of rivalries and college sports in general. 15, Michigan is at 18th ranked Oklahoma. I think that's about the only ranked matchup we have this week. So that'll be a good game. Ohio State moves to number 1 on the AP poll. Texas dropped to number 7. They were number 1. Ohio State was number 3. Florida State got ranked number 14. So bounce back season for sure. Last year they were under 500 big time. Now they're back to being ranked. And then Alabama dropped all the way down to 21. Speaking of Michigan's coach Shireen Moore suspended for 2 weeks. He is not allowed to be at practice meetings, nothing. He's got to basically sit at home and not do anything. He's got 2 weeks this week, 2 weeks this season. I think he has 1 week he's suspended for next season. I don't know why they didn't just do all 3 in 1, but maybe they gave him an option. So that's the headlines for this week. We'll go ahead and get into our picks. Friday, we got 4 games on Friday. We got Louisville and James Madison. Got Louisville picking up the win on the road. Got a couple Illinois schools, Western Illinois versus Northwestern. Got Northwestern winning. Maryland should get the win against the Huskies in Northern Illinois. And in Boise State, I'm hoping they have a bounce back win against East Washington. They should. No reason they should lose, but that's something I talked about last week. Was we don't know how good their running game would be, and sure enough, it really wasn't all that great. So let's get into the picks for Saturday. We got a whole loaded up paper here. Penn State taking down FIU. Texas at home versus San Jose State. Got them winning that one. Illinois should win on the road against Duke. Florida State hosts East Texas A&M. Should get the win there. I have Iowa State winning the Iowa State rivalry. I think Iowa's coach is going to have to wait 1 more week for his record win. SMU should pick up the win against Baylor. Indiana got them winning against Kennesaw State. Same with Texas Tech over Kent State. Minnesota is playing Northwestern State. Again, week 1, week 2, not always, the best games, but, it's better than nothing. Virginia versus NC State. I thought about that one probably for a good minute or two. But we're going to go with NC State, moving to 2-0. We got Pitt hosting Central Michigan. Should pick up the win. UConn won, but, I think they played... Who was it? I can't remember. But I think Syracuse will pick up their first win. Liberty is not projected to win against Jacksonville State. I think they'll pick up a win for that one. Texas A&M is at home versus Utah State. Should win there. Wake Forest hosts in-state Western Carolina. Should pick up a win. And then Howard is at Temple. But I think Temple's going to end up holding on for the win. Idaho State's at New Mexico. New Mexico should win that one. Ohio State hosts Grambling. Should be an easy win for Ohio State. Same for Georgia. They host Austin Peay. Oregon is home against Oklahoma State. That could be a good game. Some fireworks maybe, but Oregon should win that one. Same for Clemson versus Troy. And then a early SEC matchup, Ole Miss versus Kentucky. Be a good game. I probably should have picked Ole Miss, but we're going to stick with Kentucky and roll with it. Tennessee hosts another in-state, East Tennessee. Again, should be a fairly easy win. Mizzou is at home versus Kansas. I don't think Kansas is all that good this year, but, they could prove me wrong. Missouri should win. Same for Rutgers. They play Miami, Ohio. Hopefully they don't get upset and do a little bit better job than they did against Ohio. Fresno State's on the road against Oregon State. Should pick up a road win. Georgia Tech hosts Gardner-Webb. Cincinnati's home against Bowling Green. Delaware is at Colorado. Hopefully Deion Sanders can, win that. Doesn't have to worry about his time management. App State hosts Lindenwood. Again, another easy win. Should be. Texas State versus UTSA. I think UTSA is projected to win that according to ESPN, but we're going to go with Texas State anyway. You put up 606 yards of offense, I'm gonna pick you, and tell you. Prove me not to. Navy's home against UAB. I think they'll pick up another win there. North Texas versus West Michigan. North Texas should win that one. Same for Buffalo. They host St. Francis. Bryant is at UMass. UMass should win. West Virginia is at the Ohio Bobcats. Should pick up a road win there, fairly easy. And we're going to go with Wyoming again. I picked them. They didn't do good at all last season. Picked them last week to win. They didn't have the greatest game, but we're going to pick them again as they host FCS UNI. So that's page 1. We got one more page, and then we'll talk about the NFL game tonight, and then we'll talk about my fantasy team real quick. We have 4 straight teams I think are going to win at home. Wisconsin hosts Middle Tennessee. Should win fairly easily there. South Florida's at Florida Gators. They had a dominant win over Boise State, but that might be because Boise State's not overly that good this year. Arkansas State is at Arkansas. Razorbacks should pick up a win there. Same for Nevada. They play Sacramento State. Both these teams are, not the best teams by any means, but we'll go with Nevada. Jackson State should pick up the win against Southern Miss. I almost picked Southern Miss, as you can see, but decided not to. Cal Poly is at Utah. Should be an easy win for the home team there. Same for California. Pick up a win against Texas Southern. And Marshall hosts Missouri State, the new FBS school who got dropped big time in week 1 in a rude welcoming to the FBS. NC Central, I got them winning over Old Dominion. Same for ECU. Pick up a win against Campbell. ECU might be a good team this year. I don't know. NC State probably be a good team as well. Florida Atlantic host Florida A&M. Should pick up a win. Same for Miami as they host Bethune. I think is how you pronounce that. And then not SC State. South Carolina State versus South Carolina Gamecocks. Should improve to 2-0. North Carolina. They're in state again. We're gonna pick them to take down Charlotte. Charlotte got beat by App State, so if North Carolina loses to Charlotte, then Bill Belichick's in a whole world of trouble. Kansas State should pick up Army. Army probably dropped to 0-2. Houston should take down Rice. North Carolina A&T out of Greensboro is traveling to Central Florida. I think they'll probably lose that one to UCF, but we'll see. And then Western Kentucky is at Toledo. They should pick up another road win. The thing about Western Kentucky is they're good for the most part. I mean, they make bowl games almost every year. They're like good enough for bowl games, but that's it. Like they get like 7 wins a season. Usually go 7-4, maybe 8-3, maybe 6-5, and then usually win their bowl game, and then that's it. So we got Colorado State hosting Northern Colorado. Should be an easy win for Colorado State, I hope. Memphis is on the road against Georgia State. Should pick up a win there. Same for Tulane as they go to South Alabama. East Michigan should pick up an easy win against Long Island. I know I talked earlier, they gave up 600 plus yards of offense, but Long Island, they had like 50 passing yards and they had like 20 rushing yards the whole game against Florida. So I just don't think they're going to do much of anything. LSU should take down in-state Louisiana Tech. Arizona State at Mississippi State. I thought about that one as well. I thought Mississippi State could win. But we're going to go with Arizona State. And hopefully I'm right on that. Michigan versus Oklahoma. I was talking about this earlier. It's probably about the only heavyweight match we have this week. I'm going to go with Michigan despite their coach being out. I was watching the Oklahoma and Illinois State game, because Illinois State's my team. I mean, Oklahoma looked pretty good, but, our defense didn't do a whole lot. So I think Michigan's going to, I don't want to say cruise to a victory, but they should have a comfortable lead at the end of that one. Auburn should pick up the home win against Ball State. Vanderbilt versus Virginia Tech. We're gonna go with Vandy on this one. Virginia Tech hasn't been good for a little while. Despite them having a cool entrance, I think they're gonna fall at home to Vanderbilt. Nebraska is on the road against Akron. At home against Akron. Should pick up a win there. Same for almost the rest of these. We have home picks for almost the rest of these. Georgia Southern at USC. Boston College at Michigan State. Southern Illinois at Purdue. Charleston Southern at Coastal. UL Monroe at Alabama. UCLA at UNLV. That could be a good game. Former Tennessee quarterback. Johnny Serena's favorite quarterback ever. Just kidding. See what he does with UCLA against UNLV. McNeese is on the road against Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns. New Mexico State hosts Tulsa. That could be a good game. I think they're rivals, or they play each other a lot. We're gonna go with UTEP over UT Martin. Same with Arizona State over Weber State. Arizona, not Arizona State. San Diego State, I think, is going to pick up the road win against Washington State. BYU is home against Stanford. Should pick up a win there. Stanford already lost to Hawaii, so no reason BYU should lose. UC Davis, the FCS school, is on the road against Washington. Big Ten Washington should pick up a win. And then Sam Houston is on the road against Hawaii. We'll see if Hawaii can, pick up another win. I don't, foresee them doing that. But, you never know. So we'll talk about the game tonight real quick. And then if you guys want to stick around for my fantasy, you can. Let me know how I did with fantasy. So tonight is the opening regular season game for the NFL season. Kickoff is tonight between the Cowboys and Eagles. No better way to start off the season with a pretty good rivalry. They're in Dallas, I am fairly certain, from what I remember. I'm not sure what time the game is. It's probably maybe around 7:30, 8. I could be wrong. Please fact check me on that. I'm a Cowboys fan, like I probably said before, but I doubt we're gonna win. We got rid of Micah Parsons to the to the Packers. My brother was happy about that. He's a big Packers fan, so then Micah and the Packers play the Cowboys, I think, in week 3, maybe. Yeah, I think week 3, week 4, maybe, in Dallas. So we'll see how that goes. So we'll go ahead and show you who I picked up. My fantasy draft was August 31st. My brother, like I said, is in the military, and his buddies want to do a fantasy draft, but he has no idea really what to do. So he basically paid for it and then said, "I have full reign of the team." So in a 20-round pick draft, we had 10 people in the draft. I had the 10th pick. But thankfully, it was a snake draft, so this is everybody we got. I thought the quarterbacks were pretty good that we picked up: Josh Allen, Jordan Love, and Joe Flacco. You can play 2 quarterbacks if you want to. So if Jordan Love's slumping, I know Joe Flacco's going to go out there and throw me about 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. So we got, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 receivers. Got Drake London. Have to pick up Mike Evans. He's always reliable. Rashee Rice, I know he's suspended for 6 games, but we'll have him for 11. And he averages about 16 fantasy points per game, so that's pretty good. Picked up Xavier Legette. I know he's not the best, but the Panthers don't really have a whole lot of options, so I know they like going to him a lot. Got Mims Jr. with the Broncos. We'll see what him and Bo Nix can do. Got Ricky Pearsall, my guy right there. And I wanted Cedric Tillman for the Browns, and they didn't have him or whatever, and so they just gave me DeAndre Hopkins, which I don't really want. So I just got rid of him for Isaac Tesla. We'll see what he does. He's a rookie with the Lions. He could be good. He could be bad. I'm not sure. So we'll see. He's on the bench anyway, so we can always substitute him if we have to. Running backs, they're all right. Got Devon Cheney, and he's questionable right now. See if he can play. Got Kenneth Walker the third. Got Austin Eckler. Wanted to pick up Cam Scatterboo with the Giants. We'll see what he does, and Rika Dowdle as well. So tight ends, pretty darn good as well. George Kittle, Mark Andrews, and Dalton Schultz. George Kittle's my starter, obviously, and then these guys are on the bench. We have Brandon Aubrey as the kicker. I wanted to get him. He's, pretty accurate, 50, 60 yards. He's a big leg kicker, and picked up the Eagles defense. And I went ahead and wrote my starters down so you guys can see what we're rocking and rolling with. You have a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and then you have a running back, wide receiver option, actually 2 of those, and then you have a receiver, running back, tight end, a quarterback option, and then your kicker and defense. So there's our starters for week 1. We'll see what we do. I have 2 guys playing tonight. We have Brandon Aubrey and the Eagles defense. We'll see what they do for me. I've never done fantasy before, so we'll see how it goes. I think right now I have the 3rd highest average points out of all 10 of us. So hopefully we don't come in last. We shouldn't come in last. As the NFL season progresses, I can keep doing updates on my fantasy league as well. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and wrap this video up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll probably keep doing these. I know they're not the most popular videos I make, but I just kind of enjoyed talking about it. I don't really have a whole lot of people I can just sit and talk about sports with, so I feel like I can just come in here, talk for, about whatever sports related I want to, and I'll be alright. So Oh, one last thing. I was talking about the transfer portal. What was it, last week? And so on social media, they have somebody is running around as a 6th-year senior, and on his 6 different team. I think he started out with LSU and then went to Auburn, and now he's at like Texas State, or like a relatively small school. So I mean, I can't make this stuff up. I told you people bounce around to all different types of schools almost every year. They're switching another school because they don't like play time, or they want to win, or this or that. But I mean, I hate to break it to you, but you're not gonna win the national championship. Every year. Only one team's gonna win, and if you're not, on a Georgia, Ohio State kind of team, like, if no offense to LSU, but if you're on LSU, the likelihood of you winning a national championship right now is relatively slow, or not slow, but small. So, but hopefully I didn't offend you LSU fans, but you guys haven't really done a whole lot without since Joe Burrow. So we'll go ahead and let you guys go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If anybody actually uses my picks for something, betting, and you actually do good, I guess yeah, you're welcome, I guess. I might do this with basketball too. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see when basketball comes around. Nice thing is, basketball, there's games almost every day, but it's not 50 plus games a day. It's 5-10 games here and there. It's easier to manage. So go ahead and let you guys go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully everybody that wants to watch the game tonight will watch the Cowboys get their butt kicked by the Eagles. So until next time, guys, see ya.